In this week's Parshat Miketz, there's an underlying theme. We finished reading the story of Joseph, but then we have this underlying theme of Yosef's assimilation. So if you look at the beginning of the Parsha, you see that Yosef is released from jail, and immediately he becomes a member of Paro's government. Now, not only is he a member of Paro's government, but he also acts in an active role of helping Paro's government, a polytheistic monarchy almost, where Paro is one of the gods, among many other gods. He helps them look good for all the people. He helps them prevent this famine by storing up goods, so therefore, when the famine comes, there will be plenty of food, and it'll look like Paro and the many other gods saved them all. So not only does he help Paro's government, but he also makes them, the polytheistic government, look good. Even more so, we see Yosef's assimilation in the fact that he marries an Egyptian woman, Asnat bat Potiphera. He marries Asnat bat Potiphera. He has 2 children with her, and then he gives his children Egyptian names, Menashe and Ephraim. And on top of that, at the end of the Parsha, when Yosef's brothers finally come back to see him, you see that Yosef, they don't recognize him. Why? Because he looks so Egyptian at this point. So there's clearly, the Torah isn't trying to tell us that, look, Yosef was successful, he was successful because he assimilated, so that's what we should do. So that begs the question, so why is Yosef so successful? What was the root of all of his success? So we see that in the Psukim, in the Parsha, we see that before Yosef does anything successful, and everything successful he does do, he attributes to God. So for example, when Paro comes up to him and asks, can you interpret my dreams? I heard that you interpreted the baker and the butler's dreams. Can you interpret mine? So Yosef says, I can't do anything. And he says, Vayan Yosef et Paro lemor, Bil'ad Elohim ya'anad shalom Paro. He says, not I can interpret Paro's dreams, rather it's only God. And then, even more so, after he interprets the dreams, Paro gives him the job, and he says, Vayomer Paro el Yosef, Achrei hodi Elohim otcha et kol zot, ein nachon v'chacham kamocha. He realizes that Yosef has Hashem on his side, and that because of Hashem, Yosef was so smart and so wise, so therefore Yosef is appointed to this position as in charge of all the food in Egypt. So clearly the answer is that Yosef wasn't successful because he assimilated. No, Yosef was successful because every single step of the way, he knew that it was God. He knew that he was just integrating himself as part of it, but the entire thing, he had God's help. Now, this is especially relevant at this time of year during Chanukah. If we look at the Chanukah story, you have the story of all these Jews, and you have them, they're all very much assimilated. Unlike Yosef, who was integrated into society, but always knew that God had a hand in everything and that it was all God's master plan, here you have all these Jews they even had their own name. They were called Hellenists. There were all these Jews who assimilated, which led to really the control and the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash, and also kind of the Beit HaMikdash was so impure, there's no holy oil, and that's really the whole story of Chanukah comes down to the fact that all these Jews were assimilated. And from the story of Yosef, which we read most years around this time, we see that it's trying to show us that you do need to integrate into your new society, but at every step of the way, you need to understand where God's role is, and how you always have to be in God's debt, and you have to understand and articulate to society what God does and how God really did everything for you. Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach.